Good evening. It feels like it's been a while since I last did one of these streams. Weird. Oh, wait, how long has it actually been? I didn't mean to not do this for so long. A month. It's been a month, maybe over a month. It's fine. I like what you're doing. Thank you. I hope this embodies how I'm feeling about this. The chaos. It's been 1,000 years. It has. But hello, Circuit. Hello, Hooks. Good evening. Thank you for returning for the final episode of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, because I am sick of this book and I don't want to read it anymore. I would rather read the dictionary. I will read the dictionary while I try and work out what to read next after this book. But for now, I will finish what I started, and that is this book. And I just wish I kind of knew that it had been not a great book beforehand. I just wish I remembered that. Hello, Robert. So, since it's been a while since I've been here, let me know if I need to adjust anything, any of the volumes, any of the balances, any of the... apart from the text. I'm not gonna change the text until we're done with this frickin' book. We have 4 chapters to go. There's 4 chapters left of this book. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm not going to read slowly. I'm not going to read in a nice, coherent way. I'm going to read... what is this? This is the ASMR experience. Your babysitter you're a child, and your babysitter wants you to go to bed right now, so that they can like just go chill, play video games downstairs. They want you to go to bed, shut up, so they can play video games on your parents' console. That's the ASMR. That's the experience you're going to receive today. Do a mukbang stream? No. Those are my video games. No, I'm not playing your video games. What video games do you even have as a kid who still has a babysitter? Actually, you know what? I did have Spyro as a kid, so maybe. Maybe. But yeah, sorry, you're going to bed and I'm playing your video games. That's how this works now. But yeah, do let me know if I need to adjust anything at any time, or if my mic starts doing anything weird. I don't know how the battery is, so if it starts cutting out, please tell me so I can panic. And that's it. That's all I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna panic and then read faster. That's all that's gonna happen. I'm not changing the batteries live on stream. So normally I wait 10 minutes to start reading. I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna start. We're gonna go. Do I have anything to say? Thanks for coming to the Alice in Wonderland streams. I'll try and pick a better... some people like Alice in Wonderland, but I'm just... This book just... it just makes my brain feel like spaghetti. Purity, yeah, that's me. I'm Purity. What? Hugs. I think... No, you. I don't... Okay, so I was doing my best to push through it. But after... it's just so much nonsense. Like, I read out the chapter and then I'm just sat there like I literally have no idea what just occurred, because it's just a bunch of... It feels just like words just mashed together. And so, between life throwing rocks at me and just me kind of feeling like I don't really want to do this, that is why I haven't done this in over a month. That's why we're getting it done today, and then I'm never looking at anything written by Lewis Carroll ever again. Not that I think he wrote a lot, other than maybe the Looking Glass afterwards, but I don't really know. So, alright. Ow. Got my first ever Four Loko from 7-Eleven on my way home for this, just so you know this. Wait, what's a Four Loko? I don't know what a Four Loko is. I know what a 7-Eleven is. It's like a convenience store. Well, what's a Four Loko? What does that make the stakes? Oh, it's an energy drink? Is it like a 5-hour energy but 4 hours of going loco? It's like an alcoholic and an energy... Oh, it's one of those kind of drinks. I see. Alright, in which case, shall we begin? I will still pause between chapters. But yeah, I'm not gonna bother with like a nice steady cadence. I'm just gonna frickin' read this book so we get it over with. Hello Frederick, hello, welcome to Insanity. Although I guess compared to some streamers it's still going to be relatively sane. I can't really be chaotic even if I try. So, thank you for it. You could just stop. No. I must finish what I started. I will finish this book. I have never stopped partway during a book before, during my reading streams. Alice in Wonderland will not be the book that defeats me. I refuse. It's about honor now. So, if you need to go get some sleep, please do feel free. There won't be a raid after the stream because I do not have the ability to do that because of YouTube. So do feel free to get some sleep. If you're studying, I hope studying goes well. If you're working, I hope the rest of work goes well and without stress. Yeah. Offline raid drama. I literally can't. Well, wait, you mean on Twitch? I don't even have Twitch open right now. No, let's go. Alright, let's go. It's 10 minutes in. Watch me read it normally just because I can't break a habit. Chapter 9. The Mock Turtle's Story. You can't think how glad I am to see you again, you dear old thing, said the Duchess, as she tucked her arm affectionately into Alice's and they walked off together. Alice was very glad to find her in such a pleasant temper, and thought to herself that perhaps it was only the pepper that made her so savage when they met in the kitchen. When I'm the Duchess, she said to herself, not in a very hopeful tone though, I won't have any pepper in my kitchen at all. Soup does very well without. Well, maybe it's always pepper that makes people hot-tempered, she went on, very much pleased at having found out a new kind of rule. And vinegar that makes them sour, and chamomile that makes them bitter, and barley sugar and things that make children sweet-tempered. I only wish people knew that, then they wouldn't be so stingy about it, you know? She had quite forgotten the Duchess by this time, and was a little startled when she heard her voice close to her ear. You're thinking about something, my dear, and that makes you forget to talk. I can't tell you just now what the moral of that is, but I shall remember it in a bit. Perhaps it isn't one, Alice ventured to remark. Tut-tut, child, said the Duchess. Everything's got a moral, if only you can find it. And she squeezed herself up close to Alice's side as she spoke. Alice did not much like her keeping so close to her. First, because the Duchess was very ugly, and secondly, because she was exactly the right height to rest her chin upon Alice's shoulder, and it was an uncomfortably sharp chin. However, she did not like to be rude, so she bore it as well as she could. The game seems to be going on better now, she said. 'Tis so, said the Duchess. And the moral of it is, oh, 'tis love, that makes the world go round. Somebody said, whispered Alice, that it's done by everybody minding their own business. Ah, well, it means much the same thing, said the Duchess, digging her sharp little chin into Alice's shoulder as she added, and the moral of that is, take care of the sense, and the sounds will take care of themselves. How fond she is of finding morals in things, Alice thought to herself. I dare say you're wondering why I don't put my arm round your waist, the Duchess said after a pause. The reason is that I'm doubtful about the temper of your flamingo. Shall I try the experiment? He might bite, Alice cautiously replied, not feeling at all anxious to have the experiment tried. Very true, said the Duchess. Flamingos and mustard both bite. And the moral of that is, birds of a feather flock together. Only mustard isn't a bird, Alice remarked. Right, as usual, said the Duchess. What a clear way you have of putting things. It's a mineral, I think, said Alice. Of course it is, said the Duchess, who seemed ready to agree to everything that Alice said. There's a large mustard mine near here, and the moral of that is, the more there is of mine, the less there is of yours. Oh, I know, exclaimed Alice, who had not attended to this last remark. It's a vegetable. It doesn't look like one, but it is. I quite agree with you, said the Duchess, and the moral of that is, be what you would seem to be, or, if you'd like to put it more simply, never imagine yourself not to be otherwise than what it might appear to others that what you were or might have been was not otherwise than what you had been would have appeared to them to be otherwise. I think I should understand that better, Alice said very politely, if you had written it down, but I'm afraid I can't follow it as you say it. That's nothing to what I could say if I chose, the Duchess replied in a pleased tone. "Pray don't trouble yourself to say it any longer than that," said Alice. "No, don't talk about trouble," said the Duchess. "I make you a present of everything I've said as yet." "A cheap sort of present," thought Alice. "I'm glad they don't give birthday presents like that," but she did not venture to say it out loud. Thinking again, the Duchess asked with another dig of her sharp little chin. "I have a right to think," said Alice sharply, for she was beginning to feel just a little worried. "Just about as much right," said the Duchess, "as pigs have to fly, and But here, to Alice's great surprise, the Duchess's voice died away, even in the middle of her favourite word, moral, and the arm that was linked into hers stood to tremble. Alice looked up, and there stood the Queen in front of them, with her arms folded, frowning like a thunderstorm. "A fine day, Your Majesty," the Duchess began in a low, weak voice. "Now, I give you fair warning," shouted the Queen, stamping on the ground as she spoke. "Either you or your head must be off, and that in about half no time. Take your choice." The Duchess took her choice, and was gone in a moment. "Let's go on with the game," the Queen said to Alice, and Alice was too much frightened to say a word, but slowly followed her back to the croquet ground. The other guests had taken advantage of the Queen's absence, and were resting in the shade. However, the moment they saw her, they hurried back to the game, the Queen merely remarking that a moment's delay would have cost them their lives. All the time they were playing, the Queen never left off quarrelling with the other players, and shouting, "Off with his head," or "Off with her head." Those whom she sentenced were taken into custody by the soldiers, who of course had to leave off being archers to do this, so that by the end of half an hour or so there were no archers left, and all the players, except the King, the Queen, and Alice, were in custody and under sentence of execution. Then the Queen left off, quite out of breath, and said to Alice, "Have you seen the mock turtle yet?" "No," said Alice, "and I don't even know what a mock turtle is." "It's the thing mock turtle soup is made from," said the Queen. "I never saw one, or heard of one." "Come on then," said the Queen, "and he shall tell you his history." As they walked off together, Alice heard the King say in a low voice to the company generally, "You are all pardoned. Come, that's a good thing," she said to herself, for she felt quite unhappy at the number of executions the Queen had ordered. They very soon came upon a griffin, lying fast asleep in the sun. If you don't know what a griffin is, look at a picture. "Up, lazy thing," said the Queen, "and take this young lady to see the mock turtle, to hear his history. I must go back and see after some executions I have ordered." And she walked off, leaving Alice alone with the griffin. Alice did not quite like the look of the creature, but on the whole she thought it would be quite as safe to stay with it as to go with that savage Queen, so she waited. The griffin sat up and rubbed its eyes, then it watched the Queen till she was out of sight, then it chuckled. "What fun," said the griffin, half to itself, half to Alice. "What is the fun?" said Alice. "Why, she," said the griffin. "It's all her fancy, that. They never executes nobody, you know. Come on." "Everybody says 'come on' here," thought Alice, as she went slowly after it. "I never was so ordered about in all my life. Never." They had not gone far before they saw the mock turtle in the distance, sitting sad and lonely on the little ledge of a rock, and, as they came nearer, Alice could hear him sighing as if his heart would break. She pitied him deeply. "What is his sorrow?" she asked the griffin, and the griffin answered, very nearly in the same words as before. "It's all his fancy, that. He hasn't got no sorrow, you know. Come on." So they went up to the mock turtle, who looked at them with large eyes full of tears, but said nothing. "This here young lady," said the griffin, "she wants for to know your history, she do." "I'll tell it to her," said the mock turtle in a deep hollow tone. "Sit down, both of you, and don't speak a word till I've finished." So they sat down, and nobody spoke for some minutes. Alice thought to herself, I don't see how he can ever finish if he doesn't begin, but she waited patiently. Once, said the Mock Turtle at last with a deep sigh, I was a real turtle. These words were followed by a very long silence, broken only by the occasional exclamation of "Hugh" from the Griffin, and the constant heavy sobbing of the Mock Turtle. Alice was very nearly getting up and saying, Thank you, sir, for your interesting story, but she could not help thinking there must be more to come, so she sat still and said nothing. When we were little, the Mock Turtle went on at last, more calmly, though still sobbing a little now and then. We went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise. Why did you call him Tortoise, if he wasn't one? Alice asked. We called him Tortoise because he taught us, said the Mock Turtle angrily. Really, you are very dull. You ought to be ashamed of yourself for asking such a simple question, added the Griffin, and then they both sat silent and looked at poor Alice, who felt ready to sink into the earth. At last the Griffin said to the Mock Turtle, Drive on, old fellow, don't be all day about it. And he went on in these words. Yes, we went to school in the sea, though you mayn't believe it. I never said I didn't, interrupted Alice. You did, said the Mock Turtle. Hold your tongue, added the Griffin, before Alice could speak again. The Mock Turtle went on. We had the very best of educations. In fact, we went to school every day. I've been to a day school too, said Alice. You needn't be so proud as all that. With extras? Asked the Mock Turtle a little anxiously. Yes, said Alice. We learned French and music. And washing? Said the Mock Turtle. Certainly not, said Alice indignantly. Nah, then yours wasn't really a good school, said the Mock Turtle in a tone of great relief. Now at ours they had at the end of the bill French, music, and washing, extra. You couldn't have wanted it much, said Alice, living at the bottom of the sea. I couldn't afford to learn it, said the Mock Turtle with a sigh. I could only take the regular course. What was that? Inquired Alice. Reeling and writhing, of course, to begin with, the Mock Turtle replied. And then the different branches of arithmetic, ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision. I've never heard of uglification, Alice ventured to say. What is it? The Griffin lifted up both its paws in surprise. What? Never heard of uglifying? It explained. You know what to beautify is, I suppose. Yes, said Alice doubtfully. It means to make anything prettier. Well then, the Griffin went on, if you don't know what to uglify is, you must be a simpleton. Alice did not feel encouraged to ask any more questions about it, so she turned to the Mock Turtle and said, What else had you to learn? Well, there was mystery, the Mock Turtle replied, counting off the subjects on its flappers. Mystery, ancient and modern, with seography, then drawling. The drawling master was an old conger eel that used to come once a week. He taught us drawling, stretching, and fainting in coils. What was that like? Said Alice. Well, I can't show you it myself, the Mock Turtle said. I'm too stiff, and the Griffin never learnt it. Hadn't time, said the Griffin. I went to classical master, though. He was an old crab, he was. I never went to him, the Mock Turtle said with a sigh. He taught laughing and grief, they used to say. So he did, said the Griffin, sighing in his turn, and both creatures hid their faces in their paws. And how many hours a day did you do lessons? Said Alice, in a hurry to change the subject. 10 hours the first day, said the Mock Turtle, 9 the next, and so on. What a curious plan, exclaimed Alice. That's the reason they're called lessons, the Griffin remarked, because they lesson from day to day. This was quite a new idea to Alice, and she thought it over a little before she made her next remark. Then the 11th day must have been a holiday. Of course it was, said the Mock Turtle. And how did you manage on the 12th? Alice went on eagerly. That's enough about lessons, the Griffin interrupted in a very decided tone. Tell us something about the games now. And that chapter ends very suddenly. Yeah, no, that part was on purposely disorientating. Hold on, let me go back to it. It's like that one kazoo, you know the one kazoo kid? Did you ever dream that you had a dream that you would have, like, that kid? That you would be like... Never imagine yourself not to be otherwise than what it might appear to others, that what you were or might have been was not otherwise than what you had been would have appeared to them to be otherwise. That is legitimately the phrase written in the book. You're so powerful at reading? What do you mean? You what? Yeah, me too. That's how why? Well, actually me too. It's always really, whenever I try to subtitle myself, it's such a pain, because I start a sentence and then I'm like, no, hold on, go back, I didn't like the start of that sentence, let me try that again. So I just kind of flit about sentences. Reading that without raising an eyebrow might take some training. Yeah. And since I don't read the books in advance when I do reading streams, I'm literally reading them at the same time. Yeah, that caught me off guard. I did just have to sit there for a moment, like, was that meant to make sense? Because it didn't feel like it. Oh, actually, while I paused between these two chapters, I wanted to top 10 weird sentence readers of all time. Real. So you know this book that I've been using for over a year now? This nice little handy forest themed book? So, fun fact, this was a free asset released by an artist called Hozshi. And it was an animated asset as well. It had like page turning, but I didn't use the page turning version because obviously since I was actually reading a book at the same time, I didn't want the page turns happening when I wasn't turning the page, if that makes sense. However, since I found out who, I was using this book for a while, and then I was like, okay, let me go like hunt down the artist who actually did this book, because at the end of the day, this is a nice book. Like, what? Unlock my book. Look at this book. Oh, it's nice. It's got a little tail end. It's got like little details on the cover. It's a very nice book. It's been a pleasure to use this book for my reading streams. I need to try and get this in the right place again. Not quite, but good enough. This person actually reopened their commissions, so I'm now in the waiting list to get a custom book for me. A book that actually matches my aesthetic for me. And I'm gonna try and make it live 2D, so I can try and make it so the page turns at a hand gesture, so that every single time I turn the page, I can just like show the camera like my hand real quick, and then the page will turn on the digital book when I turn the page in real life. That'd be cool. Could you draw your own book? I've tried. I tried, but I'm not very good at drawing things that have rigid shapes. I can draw organic things, but when it comes to like straight lines, I really falter a lot. So all of my page that would actually be cool, using a USB pedal. I don't know how I would set that up, but straight line raps. Oh, it's hard. I curve background raps. God, backgrounds. Backgrounds are my enemy. You can make an organic. Yeah, I mean, I could make like a flash book, I guess, but there's something a little frightening about that. I don't know whether I would really want to use it on stream. I feel like some people will be like, what? Like, I'd be down, but I feel like people come into stream like, cozy reading hour with Purity. What the fuck is that? Or a round book? Maybe, but I don't think that would fit with my model very well. I think the way that it sits, it's gotta be square. Cozy book horror. I do. That reminds me, I did pick up a book from my dad's actually that I could. You guys want to read some horror? I may not be able to play horror games, but I have like a whole book about like strange stories, focusing on like eldritch stuff and like works inspired by what's his face? Who was the guy that came up with Cthulhu? What was his name again? The guy with the cat. Lovecraft. H.P. Yeah, it's works inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. I was sitting here like I only remember he's the guy with the cat with the name. He's the guy with the cat with the name. I can't say that. That's not a description of the guy. You might. Oh, well, no, it's works inspired by Lovecraft. It's not. I don't think any of Lovecraft's work is actually in the book itself. But I do like some horror. I do like some existential dread. I'm a big fan. Psychological horror, body horror, yeah. So yeah, okay, maybe I'll spend 1 week. I'll spend 1 week reading the dictionary because it has been a while and it's kind of funny. We need to find a book with jump scares. Just like stick a random like pop-up section in the middle of the book. Or just summon an eldritch creature once you reach the halfway point. Yeah, that'd be a jump scare. That would work. But yeah, no, we'll do a week of dictionary just to cleanse the palate, so to speak. To yeah, forget this, and then we'll move to my strange and weird book. The Adventure of the Spooky Air Conditioner. Putting one of those speakers in audio gift. Oh god, you're right. I just imagine. Oh, you know, I wish I still had like friends IRL, especially friends that read IRL, because imagine how funny it would be. Imagine how funny it would be to put one of those gift card things, but it's a fucking Rickroll in the middle of a book. Just like a random like birthday, Christmas present. You give them the book and they're like, oh wow, thanks, I wanted this book, I wanted to read this. Thank you. And you're like, yeah, no problem, of course, I knew you wanted to read it. And then just one day, you get a message. And they're like, what the fuck? That would be hilarious. Man, I'm so sad I can't. Someone please take that idea and do that for me. Please someone live my legacy where I can't. They'd only hear after a month when they're like, yeah, exactly! It would have to be well integrated. They have to read it before the battery runs out. Normally the battery doesn't run out until you actually like open it. Because of the way the circuit works, it doesn't connect until you open the pages. Me reading the most meaningful sentiment I've ever come across at a desperate time in my life. Grow from purity. Now, see, you could get a lesson from that. You could be like, you know, meaning, sentiment, important. You know, these things are valuable in life, but also having a bit of a wee chuckle with your friends, doing a little trolling, also valuable. A bit of a stretch, though. A little bit of a stretch, I admit. Anyway, let's continue. But either way, I do want someone to put a Rickroll in a book, please. For me. Not to me! Don't Rickroll me! I'm pointing, you can't see it right now, but I'm pointing. If anyone sends me a book with a Rickroll in, I'm manifesting locusts. I don't care where, I'm manifesting them. No, not the locusts. Wait, no, not the Rickroll. I'm doing the locusting. You're not doing I'm sending the locusts. Infiltrated your local bookseller. I can't believe you would do this. Oh, that does remind me, I do need to go down to the bookstore at some point. Any book could be the one. Check me in the bookstore, just going like, I wonder if you can hear this. Just through all the books, just to try and make sure I don't pick one up with a Rickroll. I'll like flick through a book and there'll suddenly be like a musical note, and I'll be like, burn it. Anyway, I threw myself off slightly there. Okay. Anyway, adjust headphones. Let's reach the halfway point. Chapter 10. The Lobster Quadrille. I need to put the book in a more comfortable place. Like, I keep on getting to the point where I'm looking like so far downwards, but I can't tilt my head down or else I won't be facing my mic that it strains my eyes. Let's put it here. The Mock Turtle sighed deeply and drew the back of one flapper across his eyes. He looked at Alice and tried to speak, but for a minute or two sobs choked his voice. Same as if he had a bone in his throat, said the Griffin, and it set to work shaking him and punching him in the back. At last the Mock Turtle recovered his voice, and, with tears running down his cheeks, went on again. You may not have lived much under the sea. I haven't, said Alice. And perhaps you were never introduced to a lobster, Alice began to say. I once tasted, but checked herself hastily and said, no, never. So you can have no idea what a delightful thing a lobster quadrille is. No, indeed, said Alice. What sort of dance is it? Why, said the Griffin, you first form into a line across the seashore. 2 lines, cried the Mock Turtle. Seals, turtles, and so on. Then, when you've cleared the jellyfish out of the way— That generally takes some time, interrupted the Griffin. You advance twice. Each with a lobster as a partner, said the Griffin. Of course, the Mock Turtle said. Advance twice, set to partners. Change lobsters, and retire in the same order, continued the Griffin. Then, you know, the Mock Turtle went on, you throw the lobsters, shouted the Griffin, with a bound into the air. As far out to sea as you can. Swim after them, screamed the Griffin. Turn a somersault in the sea, cried the Mock Turtle, capering wildly about. Change lobsters again, yelled the Griffin. Back to land again, and that's all the first figure, said the Mock Turtle, suddenly dropping his voice, and the 2 creatures, who had been jumping about like mad things, sat down again very sadly and quietly, and looked at Alice. It must be a very pretty dance, said Alice timidly. Would you like to see a little of it? Said the Mock Turtle. Very much indeed. Let's try the first figure, said the Mock Turtle to the Griffin. We can do without lobsters, you know. Which shall we sing? No, you sing, said the Griffin. I've forgotten the words. So they began solemnly dancing round and round Alice, every now and again treading on her toes as when they passed too close, and waving their forepaws to mark the time, while Mock Turtle sang this, very slowly and sadly. "Will you walk a little faster?" said a whiting to a snail. "There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and turtles all advance. They are waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance?" You can really have no notion how delightful it will be when they take us up and throw us with the lobsters out to sea. But the snail replied, "Too far, and gave a look askance. Said he thanked the whiting kindly, but he would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not join the dance. "What matters is how far we go," his scaly friend replied. "There is another shore, you know, upon the other side. The further off from England, the nearer is to France. Then turn not pale, beloved snail, but come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance?" "Thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch," said Alice, feeling very glad it was over at last. "And I do so like that curious song about the whiting." "Oh, as to the whiting," said the Mock Turtle, you've seen them, of course." "Yes," said Alice. "I have often seen them at She checked herself hastily. "I don't know where Din may be," said the Mock Turtle, "but if you've seen them so often, of course you know what they're like." "I believe so," Alice replied thoughtfully. "They have their tails in their mouths, and they're all over crumbs." "You're wrong about the crumbs," said the Mock Turtle. "Crumbs would all wash off in the sea, but they have their tails in their mouths, and the reason is—" Here the Mock Turtle yawned and shut his eyes. "Tell her about the reason and all that," he said to the Griffin. "The reason is," said the Griffin, "they would go to the lobsters to the dance. So they got thrown out to sea. So they had to fall a long way. So they got their tails fast in their mouths. So they couldn't get them out again. That's all." "Thank you," said Alice. "It's very interesting. I never know so much about them before." "I can tell you more than that if you like," said the Griffin. "Do you know why it's called a whiting?" "I never thought about it," said Alice. "Why?" "It does the boots and the shoes," the Griffin replied very solemnly. Alice was thoroughly puzzled. "Does the boots and shoes?" she repeated in a wondering tone. "Why, what are your shoes done with?" said the Griffin. "I mean, what makes them so shiny?" Alice looked down at them and considered a little before she gave her answer. "They're done with blacking, I believe. Boots and shoes under the sea." I've been pronouncing it wrong the entire time. It's meant to be whiting, I guess. For God's sake. "Boots and shoes under the sea," the Griffin went on in a deep voice, "are done with whiting. Now you know." "And what are they made of?" Alice asked in a tone of great curiosity. "Soles and eels, of course," the Griffin replied rather impatiently. "Any shrimp could have told you that." "If I'd been the whiting," said Alice, whose thoughts were still running on the song, "I'd have said to the porpoise, 'Keep back, please. We don't want you with us.'" "They were obliged to have him with them," the Mock Turtle said. "No wise fish would go anywhere without a porpoise." "Wouldn't it really?" said Alice in a tone of great surprise. "Of course not," said the Mock Turtle. "Why, if a fish came to me and told me he was going on a journey, I should say, 'With what porpoise?'" "Don't you mean purpose?" said Alice. "I mean what I say," the Mock Turtle replied in an offended tone, and the Griffin added, "Come, let's hear some of your adventures." "I could tell you my adventures, beginning from this morning," said Alice a little timidly, "but it's no use going back to yesterday, because I was a different person then." "Explain all that," said the Mock Turtle. No, the adventures first," said the Griffin in an impatient tone. "Explanations take such a dreadful time." So Alice began telling them her adventures from the time she first saw the White Rabbit. She was a little nervous about it just at first. The two creatures got so close to her, one on each side, and opened their eyes and mouths so very wide. But she gained courage as she went on. Her listeners were perfectly quiet until she got to the part about her repeating, "You are old, Father William," to the caterpillar, and the words all coming different. And then the Mock Turtle drew a long breath and said, "That's very curious." "It's all about as curious as it can be," said the Griffin. "It all came different," the Mock Turtle repeated thoughtfully. "I should like to hear her repeat something now. Tell her to begin." He looked at the Griffin, as if he thought it had some kind of authority over Alice. "Stand up and repeat, 'Tis the voice of the sluggard,'" said the Griffin. "How the creatures order one about, and make one repeat lessons," thought Alice. "I might as well be at school at once." However, she got up and began to repeat it, but her head was so full of the lobster quadrille that she hardly knew what she was saying, and the words came very queer indeed. "'Tis the voice of the lobster, I heard him declare, you have baked me too brown, I must sugar my hair. As a duck with its eyelids, so he with his nose trims his belt and his buttons, and turns out his toes. When the sands are all dry, he is gay as a lark, and will talk in contemptuous tones of the shark. But when the tide rises and sharks are around, his voice is a timid and tremulous sound." "That's different from what I used to say when I was a child," said the Griffin. "Well, I never heard it before," said the Mock Turtle, "but it sounds uncommon nonsense." Alice said nothing. She had sat down with her face in her hands, wondering if anything would ever happen in a natural way again. "I would like to have it explained," said the Mock Turtle. "She can't explain it," said the Griffin hastily. "Go on to the next verse." "But about his toes," the Mock Turtle persisted. "How could he turn them out with his nose, you know?" "It's the first position in dancing," Alice said, but was dreadfully puzzled by it all, and longed to change the subject. "Go on with the next verse," the Griffin repeated. "It begins with the words, 'I passed by his garden.'" Alice did not dare to disobey, though she felt sure it would all come wrong, and she went on in a trembling voice. "I passed by his garden and marked with one eye how the owl and the panther were sharing a pie. The panther took pie crust and gravy and meat, while the owl had the dish as a share of its treat. When the pie was all finished, the owl, as a boon, was kindly permitted to pocket the spoon, while the panther received knife and fork with a growl, and concluded the banquet." "What is the use of repeating all that stuff?" the Mock Turtle interrupted, "if you don't explain it as you go on? It's by far the most confusing thing I ever heard." "Yes, I think you'd better leave off," said the Griffin, and Alice was only too glad to do so. "Shall we try another figure of the lobster quadrille?" the Griffin went on. "Or would you like the Mock Turtle to sing you a song?" "Oh, a song, please, if the Mock Turtle would be so kind," Alice replied, so eagerly that the Griffin said in a rather offended tone, "No accounting for tastes. Sing her turtle soup, will you, old fellow?" The Mock Turtle sighed deeply and began in a voice sometimes choked with sobs to sing this: "Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen, who for such dainties would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, who cares for fish, game, or any other dish? Who would not give all else for 2 pennyworth only of beautiful soup, pennyworth only of beautiful soup? Beautiful soup, beautiful soup, soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup." "Chorus again!" cried the Griffin, and the Mock Turtle had just begun to repeat it, when a cry of "The trial's beginning" was heard in the distance. "Come on," cried the Griffin, and taking Alice by the hand it hurried off, without waiting for the end of the song. "What trial is it?" Alice panted as she ran, but the Griffin only answered, "Come on," and ran the faster, while more and more faintly came, carried on the breeze that followed them, the melancholy words, soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. What? What? This an unprompt? No. Me when soup. Yeah, it's written. Hold on, let me type it out. Oh, how do I type on YouTube? I have to go to this page. Yeah, it's written soup. No, not in caps, please. Soup of the evening. So I did my best, I guess. Purity Valentine in chat. Real? Real? Not fake? Not clickbait? Purity Valentine real? Anyway. We can do this. We can do this. We're nearing the end. Purity Valentine based real? Based on what? Anyway. I'm just gonna keep going. We're nearing an hour, but I don't care. We have to finish this book or else I'm going to go insane. Because it's nonsense. You guys have been listening to me. Do you guys know what's going on in this book? I'm reading it out to you. I don't know what's going on in this book. I haven't got a clue. They're like... what is the cat like? What about the mushroom that she had in her pockets? Why is the cat? Was the cat who's normal size? Who's small size? Or what was the white rabbit late for? Because he was perfectly on time to everything. What about the was the dormouse and the nothing makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Nothing in this book makes any sense. I have no idea what's going on. Is there even a plot? I don't think so. It's just insanity. That's it. This is no, I don't know. It's crazy how Huh? What? I'm gonna ignore that. I don't wanna know. I'm not gonna, nope. 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 Chapter 11. Who stole the tarts? Purity, you know the rules of the internet? I know there's that kind of stuff of everything on the internet. I know. Is that actually no one would have made a like people would have drawn it, and that's kind of fucked up. But no one's made a doujin of it, right? Like they would have done like Pandora Hearts maybe, but that's not Alice in Wonderland. I'm glad it didn't show images. I'm glad it was just text. Don't Google that. Don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. Chapter 11. Who stole the tarts? Okay. I'm glad this isn't Twitch. Even if this means this fort is going to be here forever, at least clipping is really weird here. The King of Queen of Hearts was seated on their throne when they arrived, with a great crowd assembled about them, all sorts of little birds and beasts, as well as the whole pack of cards. The knave was standing before them, in chains, with a soldier on each side to guard him, and near the king was the White Rabbit, with a trumpet in one hand, and a scroll of parchment in the other. In the very middle of the court was a table, with a large dish of tarts upon it. They looked so good that it made Alice quite hungry to look at them. I wish they'd get the trial done, she thought, and hand round the refreshments. But there seemed to be no chance of this, so she began looking about her to pass away the time. Alice had never been in a court of justice before, but she had read about them in books, and she was quite pleased to find that she knew the name of nearly everything there. That's the judge, she said to herself, because of his great wig. The judge, by the way, was the king, and he wore his crown over the wig. Look at the front piece if you want to see how he did it. He did not look at all comfortable, and it was certainly not becoming. And that's the jury box, thought Alice, and those 12 creatures, she was obliged to say creatures, you see, because some of them were animals, and some were birds. I suppose those are the jurors. She said the last word 2 or 3 times over to herself, being rather proud of it, for she thought, and rightly too, that very few girls of her age knew the meaning of it at all. However, jurymen would have done just as well. The 12 jurors were all writing very busily on slates. "Well, what are they doing?" Alice whispered to the Griffin. They can't have anything to put down yet, before the trial's begun." "They're putting down their names," the Griffin whispered in reply, "for fear they should forget them before the end of the trial." "Stupid things," Alice began in a loud, indignant voice. But she stopped hastily, for the White Rabbit cried out, "Silence in the court!" And the king put on his spectacles and looked anxiously round to see who was talking. Alice could see, as well as if she were looking over their shoulders, that all the jurors were writing down "stupid things" on their slates. And she could even make out that one of them didn't know how to spell stupid, and he had to ask his neighbour to tell him. A nice muddle their slates will be in before the trial's over, thought Alice. One of the jurors had a pencil that squeaked. This, of course, Alice could not stand, and she went round the court and got behind him, and very soon found an opportunity of taking it away. She did so quickly that the poor little juror, it was Bill, the lizard, could not make out at all what had become of it, so, after hunting all about for it, he was obliged to write with one finger for the rest of the day, and this was of very little use, as it left no mark on the slate. "Herald, read the accusation," said the king. On this, the White Rabbit blew 3 blasts on the trumpet, and then unrolled the parchment scroll, and read as follows. "The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts, and took them quite away." "Consider your verdict," the king said to the jury. Not yet," the rabbit hastily interrupted. "There's a great deal to come before that." "Call the first witness," said the king, and the White Rabbit blew 3 times on the trumpet and called out, "First witness." The first witness was the Hatter. He came in with a teacup in one hand and a piece of bread and butter in the other. "I beg pardon, your majesty," he began, "for bringing these in, but I hadn't quite finished my tea when I was sent for." "You ought to have finished," said the king. "When did you begin?" The Hatter looked at the March Hare, who had followed him into the court, arm in arm with the Dormouse. 14th of March, I think it was," he said. 15th, said the March Hare. 16th, added the Dormouse. "Write that down," the king said to the jury, and the jury wrote all 3 dates on the slates, then added them up, and they reduced the answer to shillings and pence. "Take off your hat," the king said to the Hatter. "It isn't mine," said the Hatter. "Stolen!" the king exclaimed, turning to the jury, who instantly made memorandum of the fact. "I keep them to sell," the Hatter added as an explanation. "I've none of my own. I'm a Hatter." Here the Queen put on her spectacles and began staring hard at the Hatter, who turned pale and fidgeted. "Give your evidence," said the king, "and don't be nervous, or I'll have you executed on the spot." This did not seem to encourage the witness at all. He kept shifting from one foot to the other, looking uneasily at the Queen, and in his confusion he bit a large piece out of his teacup instead of the bread and butter. Just at this moment Alice felt a very curious sensation, which puzzled her a good deal until she made out what it was. She was beginning to grow larger again, and she thought at first she would get up and leave court, but on second thought she decided to remain where she was so long as there was room for her. "I wish you wouldn't squeeze so," said the Dormouse, who was sitting next to her. "I can hardly breathe." "I can't help it," said Alice very meekly. "I'm growing." "You've no right to grow here," said the Dormouse. "Don't talk nonsense," said Alice more boldly. "You know you're growing too." "Yes, but I grow at a reasonable pace," said the Dormouse. "Not in that ridiculous fashion." And he got up very sulkily and crossed over to the other side of the court. All this time the Queen had never left off staring at the Hatter, and, just as the Dormouse crossed the court, she said to one of the officers of the court, "Bring me the list of the singers in the last concert," on which the wretched Hatter trembled so that he took both his shoes off. "Give your evidence," the king repeated angrily, "or I'll have you executed, whether you're nervous or not." Hello, numbers. "I'm a poor man, your majesty," the Hatter began in a trembling voice, "and I hadn't begun my tea, not above a week or so, and what with the bread and butter getting so thin, and the twinkling of the tea—" "The twinkling of the what?" said the king. "It began with the tea," the Hatter replied. "Of course twinkling begins with a T," said the king sharply. "Do you take me for a dunce? Go on." Please don't read chat though. Hello numbers. Hello read. I normally don't pause like this. We're just reading Alice in Wonderland. Let me reach the end of a chapter and I will greet everyone. I will greet everyone properly. "I'm a poor man," the Hatter went on, and most things twinkled after that. "Only the March Hare said—" "I didn't," the March Hare interrupted in a great hurry. "You did," said the Hatter. "I deny it," said the March Hare. "He denies it," said the king. "Leave out that part." "Well, at any rate, the Dormouse said," the Hatter went on, looking anxiously around to see if he would deny it too. But the Dormouse denied nothing, being fast asleep. "After that," continued the Hatter, "I cut some more bread and butter." "But what did the Dormouse say?" one of the jury asked. "That I can't remember," said the king. "You must remember," remarked the king, "or I'll have you executed." The miserable Hatter dropped his teacup and bread and butter and went down on one knee. "I'm a poor man, your majesty," he began. "You're a very poor speaker," said the king. Here one of the guinea pigs cheered, and was immediately suppressed by the officers of the court. As that is a rather hard word, I will just explain to you how it was done. They had a large canvas bag, which was tied up at the mouth with strings. Into this they slipped the guinea pig head first, and then sat upon it. "I'm glad I've seen that done," thought Alice. "I've so often read in some newspapers, at the end of trials, there was some attempt at applause which was immediately suppressed by officers of the court, and I never understood what it meant till now." "If that's all you know about it, you may stand down," continued the king. "I can't go no lower," said the Hatter. "I'm on the floor as it is." "Then you may sit down," the king replied. Here the other guinea pig cheered, and was suppressed. "Come, that finishes the guinea pigs," thought Alice. "Now we shall get on better." "I'd rather finish my tea," said the Hatter, with an anxious look at the Queen, who was reading a list of singers. "You may go," said the king, and the Hatter hurriedly left the court, without even waiting to put his shoes on. "And just take his head off outside," the Queen added to one of the officers, but the Hatter was out of sight before the officer could get to the door. "Call the next witness," said the king. The next witness was the Duchess's cook. She carried the pepper box in her hand, and Alice guessed who it was, even before she got into the court, by the way people near the door began sneezing all at once. "Give your evidence," said the king. "Shan't," said the cook. The king looked anxiously at the White Rabbit, who said in a low voice, "Your Majesty must cross-examine this witness." "Well, if I must, I must," the king said with a melancholy air, and after folding his arms and frowning at the cook till his eyes were nearly out of sight, he said in a deep voice, "What are tarts made of?" "Pepper, mostly." "Treacle," said a sleepy voice behind her. "Collar that dormouse!" the queen shrieked out. "Behead that dormouse! Turn that dormouse out of court! Suppress him! Pinch him! Off with his whiskers!" For some minutes the whole court was in confusion, getting the dormouse turned out, and by the time they had settled down again, the cook had disappeared. "Never mind," said the king with an air of great relief. "Call the next witness," and he added in an undertone to the queen. "Really, my dear, you must cross-examine the next witness. It quite makes my forehead ache." Alice watched the White Rabbit as he fumbled over the list, feeling very curious to see what the next witness would be like, for they haven't got much evidence yet, she said to herself. Imagine her surprise when the White Rabbit read out, at the top of his shrill little voice, the name Alice. Hello numbers, hello everyone, good evening. Oh god, my eyes have not focused properly. But yeah, comfy cat raid. Wait, that's my thing. I just had my own raid message turned against me. Unbelievable. Hello numbers, hello Shadow Moon, hello Evil Bird, hello Diablo. Greetings, good evening. I'm not very creative. It's fine. You can steal it. We can share. We can share comfy cat raid. You can borrow it. Yeah, raid messages are hard. I took a while to think of a raid message, but now I just use the same one every time. But yeah, I hope you had a good stream. I hope you didn't get too motion sick, because wow, I didn't think I was motion sick either, but watching you play that was like, do I have eyes? I'm not sure. I don't know if I have eyes anymore. But I hope you had a good time. I hope you had a nice stream. Destroyed me after a while? I see. Well, I hope you can get some rest and relax your eyes and brain. For anyone who doesn't know me, hi, my name is Purity Valentine. I am a cozy cat ? I normally stream on Twitch. I would say that every week I stream on YouTube, but I've been very inconsistent about that recently, so I'm not going to promise that. I stream sometimes on YouTube, but I'm primarily a Twitch cat. That is, as the game platform, does anyone call it? I don't know if anyone actually calls it that. The purple streaming site, as opposed to the red streaming site. Not inconsistent. Limited edition. Thank you. It's a very kind way of putting it. Limited edition. Yeah, welcome to a kind of chaotic stream. For the past a long time, I do reading streams, and I've been reading Alice in Wonderland. I don't know how many people here have read the book Alice in Wonderland on their own, but it's nonsense. It is a book of nonsense. None of it makes any sense. It is completely, there's no plot, it's all over the place, I have no idea what's going on at any given time, it's nothing like the Disney movie, and I'm in hell. So I want to finish it. I want to finish this book. We are on the final chapter. We only have one more chapter to go. I remember you, I enjoyed last time. Well, thank you, I'm glad. YouTube streams always tend to be either reading or just chatting. But actually I did play Okami for a while over here, but I had to reduce my schedule again because wow, I was streaming like 6 times a week, and that's a little much. 6 times a week streaming is maybe too much. and nagging beyond facing dozens of clever 150-year-old references. I mean, that's the thing, I don't think so, because Lewis Carroll, if I remember the story behind Alice in Wonderland well enough, Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland for a young girl called Alice. It was a book for her. So she couldn't have been that old, so to understand, she couldn't have understood many references. Kids don't know references. Apart from maybe like Minecraft. Actually, do kids still? I don't know if young kids still play that. I don't know what the 6-year-olds are currently into. I don't tend to follow that kind of trend. I knew references as a kid. I don't know. I wasn't alive as a kid. I just didn't understand them. He did sneak in at least one math joke I know of. Probably. I am also... I have not been paying attention to Earth for 150 years, so probably all the references are going right over my head as well. But yeah, if anyone needs to go get some sleep, get some rest, wait, sleep and rest is like the same. If anyone needs to go get some rest, some food or drink or anything like that, please do feel free. We're gonna finish off this chapter. Let's frickin' do this. I normally don't respond to chat while I read. The raid was the exception because I didn't want to seem like I was ignoring it. Yeah, thank you very much, numbers. But we shall take this final hurdle, and we will finish this book, and I shall be free. Partial quote from the site: Alice's Adventures in Wonderland represents a child's struggle to survive in the confusing world of adults. Man, in which case this book does a good job, because you know what? The confusing world of adults is not only confusing for kids. The confusing world of adults is confusing for adults. I don't know when I'm meant to start feeling like an adult, but at 26 years old I do not feel like an adult. But when I was a kid I definitely thought 26-year-old people were adults. But I do not feel... I'm an anime cat girl on the internet. How could I be an adult? Don't worry, we would have waited patience. Not like the instructions are not. I mean, they are sideways because I'm chaotic. I'm trying to speedrun today, but it's fine. Reject adulthood. Simply exactly. Yeah, just become a cat. When you head your own household. Oh god, I'm gonna be pretty old when that happens. That's okay. I don't need to be an adult. After all, it's true. I am a cat. No, you're not. You're... No. Adulting is hard. It is. Adulting is so tough. I wouldn't go back to being a kid either. You couldn't pay me to go back to secondary school. But adulting is hard. It doesn't get any more adult feeling the older you get. God damn. I don't know how some people seem to have their lives so together. I'm so jealous. No kid, no adult, only cat ? You just have less and less free time. Pain. I want to go back to being a teenager? Yeah, I don't know. I'm an adult? What the hell? Banned? Put on the cat ears. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this book, and then we can continue chatting, and I can make you wear the cat ears. You're welcome. Chapter 12. This is the final one. A few more pages. I'll be free. Let's go. Alice's evidence. Here, cried Alice, quite forgetting in the flurry of the moment how large she had grown in the last few minutes. And she jumped up in such a hurry that she tipped over the jury box with the edge of her skirt, upsetting all of the jurymen onto the heads of the crowd below, and there they lay sprawling about, reminding her very much of the globe of goldfish she had accidentally upset the week before. "Oh, I beg your pardon," she exclaimed in a tone of great dismay, and began picking them up again as quickly and quietly as she could, for the accident of the goldfish kept running in her head, and she had a vague sort of idea that they must be collected at once and put back into the jury box, or they would die. "The trial cannot proceed," said the king in a very grave voice, "until all the jurymen are back in their proper places. All," he repeated with great emphasis, looking hard at Alice as he said so. Alice looked at the jury box, and saw that, in her haste, she had put the lizard in head downwards, and the poor little thing was waving its tail about in a melancholy way, being quite unable to move. She soon got it out again and put it right. "Not that it signifies much," she said to herself. "I should think it would not be quite as much use in the trial one way up as the other." As soon as the jury had a little recovered from the shock of being upset, and their slates of pencils had been found and handed back to them, they set to work very diligently to write out a history of the accident, all except the lizard, who seemed too much overcome to do anything but sit with its mouth open, gazing up into the roof of its court. "What do you know about this business?" the king said to Alice. "Nothing," said Alice. "Nothing whatever?" persisted the king. "Nothing whatever," said Alice. "That's very important," the king said, turning to the jury. They were beginning to write this down on their slates, when the White Rabbit interrupted. "Unimportant, your majesty means, of course," he said in a very respectful tone, but frowning and making faces at him as he spoke. "Unimportant, of course, I meant," the king said hastily, and went on to himself in an undertone. "Important, unimportant, unimportant, important," as if he were trying which word sounded best. Some of the jury wrote it down as important and some unimportant. Alice could see this, as she was near enough to look over their slates. But it doesn't matter a bit, she thought to herself. At this moment the king, who had been for some time busily writing in his notebook, called out, "Silence!" and read out from his book, "Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high to leave the court." Everybody looked at Alice. "I'm not a mile high," said Alice. "You are," said the king. "Nearly 2 miles high," added the queen. "Well, I shan't go, at any rate," said Alice. "Besides, that's not a regular rule. You invented it just now." "It's the oldest rule in the book," said the king. "Then it ought to be number 1, said Alice. The king turned pale and shut his notebook hastily. "Consider your verdict," he said to the jury in a low, trembling voice. "There's more evidence to come yet, please your majesty," said the White Rabbit, jumping up in a great hurry. "This paper has just been picked up." "What's in it?" said the queen. "I haven't opened it yet," said the White Rabbit, "but it seems to be a letter written by the prisoner to somebody." "It must have been that," said the king, "unless it was written to nobody, which isn't usual, you know." "Who is it directed to?" said one of the jurymen. "It isn't directed at all," said the White Rabbit. "In fact, there's nothing written on the outside." He unfolded the letter as he spoke, and added, "It isn't a letter after all. It's a set of verses." "Are they in the prisoner's handwriting?" asked another of the jurymen. "No, they're not," said the White Rabbit. "And that's the queerest thing about it." The jury all looked puzzled. "He must have imitated somebody else's hand," said the king. The jury all brightened up again. "Please, your majesty," said the knave, "I didn't write it, and they can't prove I did. There's no name signed at the end." "If you didn't sign it," said the king, "that only makes the matter worse. You must have meant some mischief, or else you'd have signed your name like an honest man." There was a general clapping of hands at this. It was the first really clever thing the king had said that day. "That proves his guilt," said the queen. "It proves nothing of the sort," said Alice. "Why, you don't even know what they're about." "Read them," said the king. The White Rabbit put on his spectacles. "Where shall I begin, please your majesty?" he asked. "Begin at the beginning," the king said gravely, "and go on till you come to the end, then stop." These were the verses the White Rabbit read. They told me you had been to her and mentioned me to him. She gave a good character, but said I could not swim. He sent them word I had not gone, we know it to be true. If she should push the matter on, what would become of you? I gave her 1, they gave him 2, you gave us 3 or more. They all returned from him to you, though they were mine before. If I or she should chance to be involved in this affair, he trusts to you to set them free, exactly as it were. My notion was that you had been, before she had this fit, an obstacle that came between him and ourselves and it. Don't let him know she liked them best, for this must ever be a secret kept from all the rest, between you and me. That's the most important piece of evidence we've heard yet, said the king, rubbing his hands. So now let the jury... If any of them one can explain it, said Alice. She had grown so large in the last few minutes she wasn't a bit afraid of interrupting him. I'll give him 6pence. I don't believe there's an atom of meaning in it. The jury all wrote down on their slates, she doesn't believe there's an atom of meaning in it, but none of them attempted to explain the paper. If there's no meaning in it, said the king, that saves a world of trouble, you know, as we needn't try to find any. And yet I don't know, he went on, spreading out the verses on his knee, looking at them all with one eye. I seem to see some meaning in them after all. Said I could not swim. You can't swim, can you? He added, turning to the knave. The knave shook his head sadly. Do I look like it? He said, but she certainly did not, being made entirely of cardboard. All right, so far, said the king, and he went on muttering over the voices to himself. We know it to be true. That's the jury, of course. I gave her 1, they gave him 2. Why, that must be what he did with the tarts, you know. But it goes on, they all returned from him to you, said Alice. Why, there they are, said the king triumphantly, pointing to the tarts on the table. Nothing can be clearer than that. Then again, before she had this fit, you never had any fits, my dear, I think, he said to the queen. Never, said the queen furiously, throwing an inkstand at the lizard as she spoke. The unfortunate little Bill had left off writing on his slate with one finger, as he found it had made no mark, but he now hastily began again, using the ink that was trickling down his face as long as it lasted. Then the words don't fit you, said the king, looking round the court with a smile. There was dead silence. It's a pun, the king added in an offended tone, and everybody laughed. Let the jury consider their verdict, the king said, for about the 20th time that day. No, no, said the queen. Sentence first, verdict afterwards. Hold your tongue, said the queen, turning purple. I won't. Off with her head, the queen shouted at the top of her voice. Nobody moved. Who cares for you, said Alice. She had grown to her full size by this time. You're nothing but a pack of cards. At this, the whole pack rose up into the air, came flying down upon her. She gave a little scream, half fright and half of anger, and tried to beat them off, and found herself lying on the bank, with her head in the lap of her sister, who was gently brushing away some dead leaves that had fluttered down from the trees upon her face. Wake up, Alice dear, said her sister. Why, what a long sleep you've had. Oh, I've had such a curious dream, said Alice, and she told her sister, as well as she could remember them, all these strange adventures of her that you could have just been reading about. And when she had finished, her sister kissed her and said, It was a curious dream, dear, certainly, but now run into your tea. It's getting late. So Alice got up and ran off, thinking while she ran, and well she might, what a wonderful dream it had been. But her sister sat still just as she left her, shaking her head on her hand, watching the setting sun, and thinking of little Alice and all her wonderful adventures, till she too began dreaming after a fashion, and this was her dream. First she dreamed of little Alice herself, and once again the tiny hands were clasped upon her knee, and the bright eager eyes were looking up into hers, and she could hear the very tones of her voice, and see that little queer toss of her head to keep back the wandering hair that would always get into her eyes. And still as she listened, or seemed to listen, the whole place around her became alive with the strange creatures of her sister's dream. The long grass rustled at her feet as a white rabbit hurried by. The frightened mouse splashed his way through the neighbouring pool, and she could hear the rattle of the teacups as the March Hare and his friends shared their never-ending meal, and the shrill voice of the Queen ordering off her unfortunate guest's execution. Once more the pig baby was sneezing on the Duchess's knee, while plates and dishes crashed around it. Once more the shriek of the griffin, the squeaking of the lizard's slate pencil, the choking of the suppressed guinea pigs filled the air, mixed up with the distant sobs of the miserable mock turtle. So she sat on with closed eyes, and half believed herself in Wonderland, though she knew she had but to open them again, and all would change to dull reality. The grass would be only rustling in the wind, and the pool rippling to the waving of reeds, and the rattling teacups would change to the tinkling sheep bells, and the Queen's shrill cries to the voice of the shepherd boy, and the sneeze of the baby, the shriek of the griffin, and all the other queer noises would change, she knew, to the confused clamour of the busy farmyard, while the lowing of the cattle in the distance would take the place of the mock turtle's heavy sobs. Lastly, she pictured to herself how this same little sister of hers would, in the aftertime, be herself a grown woman, and how she would keep, through all her riper years, the simple and loving heart of her childhood, and how she would gather about her other little children, and make their eyes bright and eager with the many strange tale, perhaps even with the dream of Wonderland of long ago, and how she would feel with all their simple sorrows, and find a pleasure in their simple joys, remembering her own child life, and the happy summer days. The end. And now I can collapse. You did it, yeah, we did it. We finished the book. Done. Complete. Put that away. Patchy, patchy, patchy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nice work, thank you. I was determined. I was determined to finish it today. Even if it took like 3 hours. But it didn't, because sometimes I can read faster. Even if it's harder to understand and I stumble over my words a little bit more. I wanted to finish so we can move on to better books. So thanks. Thank you, Hugs. So yeah, next. Do I want to something's happening next week on Monday, so I don't know how I'm going to be next week, so I'm not going to promise a stream on YouTube next week. I will try, but I will not promise anything. I will see how I am after Monday. But yeah, I'll dig up my book of strange eldritch stories and creatures and see what I can find that catches my eye. I think they're all mostly short stories, so it should work pretty well for this format. Now I can there we go. put everything back to how it was, nice and organized and neat. What was I saying before? I was like, nature is healing. Yes, exactly. Yeah, being an adult is strange because it definitely, like, I'm definitely a much different person. Like, I look at myself when I was 16 and I'm like, you don't know anything. You don't know anything, kid. But then I wonder if feeling like an adult has a feeling at all, or whether you just have to accept every day that that doesn't really mean anything. It's fine. What is an adult anyway? But oh, that's me. I just moved myself. That is not what I aimed to do. Alright. I see the now that I've finished the book. No, this isn't gonna be the last time you see this book. This book will return. This book will return until I get my new one. To me, being an adult is learning when to care more about stuff and when you're caring too much. I feel like that's a really tough skill though. I feel, yeah. I think it's really hard to work out how to prioritize your kind of energy and level of care. James' book will return in. So I'm actually I'm getting that book is a free to use asset, but I'm planning on getting a book made by the same person but specifically themed after my design, because I'm not brown and nature themed. I'm red and white and black and heart themed and cross themed. So I want something that matches that. But I will wait. I'm just in the waiting list for now, so we'll see how. Whoa. Sorry, the way I'm tilting my head made the way my eyes are doing something weird. Did not like that. But yeah, we'll see when I get that. There's no ETA, and I'm not gonna rush the artists through their waitlist. I'm not gonna do that. Goodbye book. The economics of VTuber reading streams, virtual book streams. Well, the thing is, right, I'm actually reading, should Karen it I haven't even paid for it yet. Why would I Karen it? I can't Karen it when I haven't even paid for it yet. You can only Karen once you've paid for a service, I feel. But yeah, no, I like to have a real, physical, no, wrong words. I like to have the picture of the book on stream, because my reading streams are all done with an actual physical. I'm holding the book in real life. Sorry if just me opening the pages there basically made a rush of wind go past the mic there. But I have a real physical book. I'm not reading off the computer. So I want to your immersion is important to me. So I need to have a book on screen so you guys can see I'm reading in the book. ASMR sounds real. Actually, that is actually tapping. ASMR artists do that nail tapping thing. I don't really know how proper ASMR works. I don't really fully understand it. As you Brits say, good on you. But yeah, I don't really know how to do all the fancy ASMR stuff that ASM artists do. I just like to read and provide a kind of comfy vibes. Is it good on ya or god on ya? Depends what part of the country you're from. One is going to be more northern and the other one is going to be more southern. But I'm from the middle, so I don't know which one. Good on ya? 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 Good on you. I feel like I just say good on you. Good on ya. No, I don't know. Gunya? There are some accents that do try to take every single possible sound out of a word. But I feel like if someone said Gunya to me, I'd be like, Gesundheit? You okay? But yeah, huh? Wait, what? Wait, what are you hutting to? Gunya? Actually, honestly, I'm gonna say Gunya sounds more like... The only acceptable sentence is... Yeah. I feel like the sentence I don't know, it's less... The part that's... The part that's important is actually the inflection. It needs to be... But you can make any sound while making that kind of... like, and it will be like, yeah, I don't know. I do not know. It's just kind of that, yeah. Well. I remember the first time someone said to me, I was working in an arcade, and one of my co-workers walked past me, and he said, "Wagwan," and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Wagwan," and I just sat there like, I don't know. And he was like, "Wagwan," and I'm like, "Nope, that's still not meaning anything to me. Sorry." Wagwan is what's going on. Wagwan. Don't ask me how that happened, but when he said it, I was like, are you serious? You really, what's going on? Wagwan? Nothing's going on. Apart from my confusion with the English language, that's what's going on. Well, that was a harsh lesson to learn. Why go on? Going up to a stranger just like, wagwan. Oh yeah, nothing. No, I mean, why go on? Why are you still going? Why are you continuing? God, make it existential. An expression of complete defeat and giving up. That's how I felt in that moment. So true, real. What other? I feel like there's a what else is there that kind of like cuts out sounds? Like my thing is I actually was like partially I was hard of hearing when I was a kid. So my vocal development was a little bit delayed, and so I got sent to speech therapy when I was a kid. And speech therapy made me pronounce all sounds very clearly. I know a lot of people that instead of the like the th sound, the th sound, do a f sound. So they'll say free instead of three. And they sound similar, so I get it. But I had to go to speech therapy to pronounce everything very clearly. And so now it's like, I'm sorry, I cannot do these things that people expect British people to do. If you tell me to say bottle of water, I'm sorry, those T's are going to be pronounced. It's a bottle of water. I don't know what you're expecting of me. I cannot do whatever it is that you're expecting me to do. I can't wrap my head around it. Even if it makes me sound a little bit weird sometimes. I got sent to speech therapy as a kid by an because it was bullshit cover up to cover the school hiring someone they didn't have a job for. Oh god. The experience made you stronger. Honestly, I don't remember much of speech therapy anymore. It was a very long time ago. I mean, I am glad I went to it, because obviously I did have issues back then. Because I couldn't hear, and so I wasn't talking because I couldn't hear anyone else very well, so I didn't bother. Had to learn the difference between C and K's, and not when C is pronounced as S. Oh, I see. A lot of mine was like sounds like CH and SH and stuff like that. And obviously the TH, like a lot of those were kind of the focus of mine. The Americanization of Puri's voice started at an early age? I don't think so. I don't think pronouncing letters properly is a Americanization. After all, Americans still haven't learnt how to pronounce the frickin' H in herb. Americans why? It's got a H. Pronounce it with one. You cannot. You will say the. Hold on. Wait. The next time I hear you, I'm gonna need you to type in herb into Violet Tools, because I wanna hear how you say herb numbers. I want to know if you pronounce it the correct way or the wrong way. I hope my text-to-speak isn't British. I hope it is. That'd be so funny. H? Yeah, the letter H. Never mind, I'm not being pulled in. Say strong numbers. I will at least give people, I say H, but like other members of my family say H without a H in H. I think that's just a personal preference thing, but I think, doesn't it make sense? When you say A, that has an A in it. When you say B, that's got a B in it. When you say D, that has a D in it. When you say E, that has an E in it. When you say F, that has an F in it. So why? Why would H not have a H in it? Right? Does that not make sense? Is that not logical? I think that's logical. I think that makes sense. You Brits with your H's and Z's and pounds and okay, we do not have shillings. We do not have shillings in 2023. We got past the whole shillings. The H's are silent. Alright, shall I call you Ickery Dude then? Are you Ickery Dude? Don't say yes. Don't say yes, or I'm literally gonna go insane. Hello Hickory. How we doing? Yeah, should I start saying it hospital and hotel and what other words have H? I don't know what else has H in it at the beginning. Hay. As in what horses eat. Not the first one. My country had shillings until 1970, no thanks to you colonials. I don't know when we got rid of shillings. Oh yeah, of course, hugs. I guess hugs is ugh now. Oh god, you've been turned into ugly boots. I'm so sorry, hugs. You're a pair of Uggs now. You're putting Uggs on dogs. It's kind of funny actually. The H is important. You cannot tell me that you do not pronounce the H. The H is so vital in so many words. ... I'm sorry. But listen. I'm making a point here, and that is that H has a H in it, and herb also has a H in it. I will not give up on these things. It makes me laugh as well, because it does, like, obviously Americans influence my language a little bit, but it always makes me laugh so much when I hear, like, an American friend of mine say something with British pronunciation, because then I'm like, I got you. I got you. I freaking got you. Ah! You're British now. I assign you British. You come to the Purity Valentine stream, you leave British. I'm sorry. They're doing it to me. No, because it's when I'm lurking even. Don't talk to me about Mecca. Don't talk to me about Mecca. We already had this conversation. We already had this conversation about Mecca. No. You should listen to how people in my country speak English. It's weird. Where, if you don't mind me asking, where are you? What country? Honestly, I've not left. I've only left the UK a few times. I really wish I could speak another language. Southeast Asia. Oh, I see. I have heard some people from Southeast Asia speak English. I can't remember my history very well. Former British colonies, the Gibraltar of the East, as the Churchill called us. Gibraltar of the East? see. My history isn't that good. I know that America definitely had some occupation of Southeast Asia for a while. Portugal had some occupation. Yeah, I don't know. Purity? Yes. That's me. I am Purity. My grandpa fought for King George during World War II. Oh shit. Mine did too. God, I need to brush up on my history. Well, more recent history, I guess. Past 100 years history. I think you're doing great and you're very cool. Why did you dot me then? What was with the dot? I think a school system failed you. History sucked in my school. The only things we learnt about in history were what happened in the trenches in Germany, and then the Blitz, and the blitzing of England. That's basically it. Oh, and the American slave trade. Weirdly enough. That was pretty much it. It was like some kings and queens stuff, like King Henry the 8th, 6th, 8th, King Henry the 8th. Honestly, I haven't done a history class in. So I dropped all my history classes when I was 14, so it's been 12 years since I did an actual history class. So yeah, sorry if my knowledge of 12 years ago, which wasn't even that big anyway because all my teachers sucked. Yeah, sorry if it was pretty bad. Sorry if it's not good. But that's why I like visiting historical places, because when you go to historical places, they have everything written. They have like huge like things for you to read, and like diagrams, and like I went to oh god, I can't remember what it's called, but I went to an old World War II airfield very recently. Duxton, that's it. I went to Duxton recently, and at Duxton there was a plane so it was a German plane which had crashed in the UK. It'd been shot down in the UK. But then the plane got took to America as propaganda. They shipped the crashed plane to America and they displayed it in America, and to raise money for the for the Allies' war costs, they let people inscribe their name into the crashed plane. And so I took some pictures. I should actually show some pictures sometime. But they could pay to scroll their name into the metal, and that went to the war effort, and that was part of the propaganda to have America like join in the war on the Allies' side, because obviously originally America didn't get involved for a while. So yeah, that was really interesting. I love that kind of stuff. It's really, really fascinating. There was another plane which it looked like it had a couple bullet holes, but then like there was this really weird hole in it that was only on like one side of the metal plating, and like me and my granddad and my mum were all looking at it like, what the heck happened here? And then like a tour guide came up to us and he was like, you want to know the true story about this? And we're like, yes we would. And he's like, this plane landed in Norway. It landed in the middle of a lake in Norway. And the Norwegians were super mad about Nazis, like really angry at them, like really, really angry. And so what they did was they got an ice pick. They went out to the middle of this lake with an ice pick and just stabbed through the center of the Nazi symbol, because they were like, no, get this shit away from me. And so the lake melted, the plane sank to the bottom, and then after the end of the war, like years and years and decades later, they got the plane back out of the lake, and they were like, what the hell was this? What attacked this plane? Why is there this weird, like, tall shaped thing that's like just on one side, like someone specifically attacked it? And they went and they asked some people in the local area, and these two lads were like, yeah, we were teenagers, we found that plane back during the war, we stabbed the symbol, it was us. And I think that's so cool. I think that's really cool. I like learning history. I just can't remember much from school. Funny how our history education is better since we learned about the history of the whole Southeast Asia post World War II Britain and their colonies. I want to know more history. So those of you who haven't been around very long or only watch me on YouTube, I plan to do travel streams. I have some historical locations in the UK planned for me to visit, and I would like to one day go abroad and start travelling and going to historical locations abroad, to find out, to explore history as a VTuber and share that, because I think it's really cool. So that is the kind of stuff that I like. I love historical buildings and museums and art galleries and stuff. Also, what do you mean you don't? I don't start fights in historical places. I'm a very respectful, calm, sensible visitor. Thank you. So excited for me too. I've actually got the next place planned out. I know where I'm going for my next travel stream. I think I'm gonna do it on the first week of June, which is very soon. So look forward to that. Obviously I can't spoil where I'm going because that's risky, because someone could go there first and be like, you're purity, and I'm gonna be like, oh no. But it's a cool location that has both historical and more recent stuff, so. We learned that during World War II, because Britain is focusing on their own handling defense, they set obsolete planes and zero tanks to defend the east. Locals nicknamed the planes Flying Cough. Jesus. I mean, that sounds like... Yeah. My great-granddad was... One of them never talked about it. I've got no idea what he did. I know he fought in the war, but I have no idea what he did in the war. And one of my other great-granddads was deployed to Africa in one of the tank divisions. The example of famine going on in yeah. I'm not going to deny Britain colonizing the world did not make very wise choices for the people that lived in those places. Definitely a bad time. 0 out of 10 on the management scale there. Idiots. Maybe you should look after your people, Britain. But they're really bad at that. They're still, like, not to get into it, but they're still really bad at that, even here. The US and Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America were mostly left out. Huh. Yeah, I don't think I ever learned anything about South America. I don't think we even learned anything about, like, the Falklands War in Argentina when I was a kid. The alleged American education was mostly... Oh, yeah. If I ever see him in public, I promise to run away as fast as possible. How would you know it was me? What, no fan meetup? I can't be perceived in person, or I will simply melt into dust. I'm sorry. I exist on the screen. I can't be perceived with human eyes. It'll be another 100 years for the Dutch and Brits plus the locals. That's a Malacca? Malacca? I don't know what that is. Has that got like multiple names, or? I assume you'll be speaking in a British accent and holding a laptop. You got me there, yes. Malacca is in Malaysia. Oh, I see. Yeah, honestly, I don't really know what would I know we still have some countries that are technically part of the British Empire, but we don't hear about them a lot here. I think the last time we heard anything about anything, and it's getting a little political, so I'm just gonna dance around this topic a little bit, but the last time really anyone in England, like, said anything about any of our colonies or former colonies was when China took Hong Kong back. That's really the last time I heard anyone really, like, talking about that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people in England are just kind of ignorant to it. They don't really know much about anything. I'd say the place I know the least about is South America, and Southeast Asia islands would take the second place. I would say you're never gonna make it into Hololive now. Yeah, sorry for saying that Hong Kong is a separate place. Sorry for saying Taiwan is a separate place. I stand by them. Sorry, China, question mark. No, sorry. What do I know the least about? Probably... okay, it's a little bit confusing. I probably know the least genuine history about the Middle East. A lot of what I hear on the news about the Middle East is very... It doesn't feel like it's actually taking in consideration any history. It always feels like it's more like, this is why we have problems now. It's like, no, when, wasn't there a time when, what's the history? They've got like massive, like, statues and buildings and all sorts of things. Like, surely, I wanna hear some of the history, not just like, ooh, bad group of people did bad things and still bad. Like, alright, great. Anything else? So the Middle East is probably the place I know the least about, to be honest. But as many places I don't know a lot about, so... yeah. Prince Big Ears was crying when he was making a speech during handover of Hong Kong to China. Prince Big Ears? Is that not all of them? I don't know which one is Big Ears. I feel like they're all Big Ears. The Middle East was put a dawn of... Exactly! Right, like coffee. Coffee came from a Middle East, right? And arithmetic? Didn't arithmetic also come from the Middle East? Those are the only two things I can think of. And that's a disgrace. I should know more. I should know way more. Algebra? Oh, was it algebra and not arithmetic? Or was it both? Like I said, I really need to know more because it drives me insane. It drives me insane not knowing. I want to know. Coffee is from Ethiopia. Oh, okay. Hello, Warcraft 3 fanatic? I'm guessing. Hello. Coffee is from Turkey. Is that... I mean, that's just north of Greece. I don't... See, this is why I need to learn more about history, because I want to know all these answers, but I don't know all these answers. So, I need to fix that. It's east of Greece. It's east? I thought it was not... Is it... Hold on, I'm opening a world map. East? I knew it was attached. I knew it was attached. Where's Greece? Well, you have to go north if you want to travel there by land. You have to go north and then round. and then east. So sorry, Turkey and Greece bros. Yeah, so if you're in Greece, let's say you're in Athens, you have to go north, and then you have to go east, and then you have to go south to get there by land, because it's just ocean between. It's the Aegean Sea. Bedford's a ceiling right now. I'm so sorry. Have you ever played the Total War franchise? I have not. Does that explain anything to you about my lack of history knowledge? Unironically, playing Paradox games has improved my knowledge. I should play one of the Total War or Civilization games maybe then. That would maybe be an improvement on my knowledge. Purity Crusader Kings. The Vault. Crusader Kings is another game I've heard of. I don't own any of them though. Maybe I should. Crusader Kings stream. Okay, which one's best? So Total War, Civilization, Crusader Kings, a Mountain Blade with fire and sword. Oh wait, huh? Wait, what? Are you serious? Turkey is east. Thank you, Hugs. I vote EU4. Like Crusader Kings 1 the best. I do like strategy games. Alright. I'll play some strategy. I'll play some rather than all my typical strategy games are typically in space. I love playing strategy games where I'm in space. Maybe it's time I play a strategy game where I'm actually on Earth. Maybe that would be a good idea. So yeah, alright. I'll do that. I'll do that soon. Crusader Kings 2. Yes, I love StarCraft. StarCraft was my very first game. I played StarCraft when I was 5 years old. I love StarCraft. StarCraft, the expansion pack. I got StarCraft 2 when it first came out, and then didn't play it for a while because I technically got it from my dad, and then my dad didn't play it, so I just took it and I played it. Yeah, love StarCraft. Absolutely adore it. This is gonna sound weird. When I used to stay over at my nan's for sleepovers when my parents went out, I would be given a sleeping bag, and I used to be like, oh my god, I'm just like Kerrigan going into the cocoon, and I'm gonna be reborn as the Queen of the Zerg. Yeah. What about Warcraft 3? I've actually never. The only Warcraft game I've ever played is the MMO. So I really do need to play some of the other. What about Warcraft 3? That game is based. I should play. Literally, like, it would be nice to play any of the Warcraft games. But yeah, I probably should. Began when Paradox Entertainment began the dark path of DLC and made the game so ridiculously expensive. Yeah. Did they have the one with the strategy guide? There were strategy guides? I didn't know there were strategy guides. So no, I didn't use them. I used sheer force of will. If I did not win the first time, I did it again. And I did it again. And I did it again. Until I brute forced it. Because I was 5 and nothing could stop me. Not even a Zerg rush. I had so many mods for StarCraft Rid of War, like turning all the units into random Zaku. I didn't realize that was. People even modded StarCraft, I guess. Warcraft 3 surprisingly holds up pretty well, but despite being from like 2002. Where do you get Warcraft 3 nowadays? Because do they have it on their launcher, or do you have to? Also, do you play the original or like the remaster? Unless the remaster isn't a real thing and I'm looking at the wrong Google results. Oh god. Why is Wikipedia so bright? I think you can only get the remaster. Oh, come on. My recommendation is to use the original graphics. Is that like a setting you can choose? Yeah, Warcraft 3 Reforged. Is it just an option in game? Okay. I do like me some classic graphics. Alright, Blizzard. You can have a little bit more of my soul, I guess. At some point. If I open up my Battle.net launcher, I'll be immediately sent to hell, so I'm not going to do that, because it's going to immediately be like, updating World of Warcraft, updating World of Warcraft Classic, updating StarCraft, and I'm gonna be like, please, my internet. I hate Blizzard, but yeah, it's like, Blizzard, such a scummy company. Man, the games, addictive. Rude. I hate it. Stop it. Stop making games I enjoy playing. Go be a scumbag company and make shitty games. Don't make good games and be a shitty company. They just cancelled. I heard that they literally cancelled the reason they released Overwatch 2. For some reason. Good job, Blizzard. You did it? Question mark. What you did, we don't know, but you did it. You did it. Whatever it is. I spend more time in the map editor moving the units around like action figures. That sounds kind of fun, actually. That kind of feels like Warhammer-ish. Or just any tabletop, I guess. To be fair, a lot of the good games are from 2 decades. That's true. That's true. StarCraft, I don't care what anyone says. Like, you can insult Blizzard all you like. But StarCraft was such a good game. It was so good. It was so perfect. Like that game, like the pure nostalgia, those shitty cutscenes, and I love it. I love it so much. At least I've stopped playing any EA. Oh yeah, I don't play EA games anymore unless I have them on the PlayStation because I cannot deal with the launcher. Do not like Origin launcher, EA Play launcher, whatever new stuff they've... No. Phone version of Diablo made too much money, so Blizzard lost patient with the idea of the single player. See, I don't know how the Diablo mobile game did so well, because I'm pretty sure when it came out, literally, I heard nothing but bad things about it, and people being like, no, I hate this. So it's like, what? Okay, who is paying all this money for it, then? Warcraft 3 is still one of my favourite games, despite Blizzard trying their best to make it worse. We will fight Blizzard. We will fist fight Blizzard, and we will send them 20 years in the past. The non-English speaking market? I see. I mean, I do hope, as terrible of a company as Blizzard is trying to become, I do hope that one day they can fix all their issues and become the company that I loved and was the very first, was basically the games of my childhood on PC. I want them to be good. I want people to be able to play Diablo 4, which is like out or coming out, and enjoy it. I want it to be fun for people. But the games industry is sure an industry. Thank goodness Command & Conquer Tiberium and Red Alert is now free to download since the guy who paid Canadian CNC now... Oh really? That's kind of neat. That's kind of... Man, what a good guy. That's very cool. I actually went to college. I studied games. I studied the game industry. And then I worked in a museum. No, I worked in an arcade, but we did have a side project of being archivists, of saving technology and games from the past. And so I'm very passionate about lost media and games not disappearing. I think keeping the original forms of games alive and possible to be accessed is such a glorious and important thing. And every company is like, nope, we're not re-releasing our games. We're not letting you have it. We're not letting you re-release it. We're not doing anything with it. It's just going to crumble and disappear. That annoys me like nothing else. I know. I heard about the Internet Archive. The internet, like, that lost the battle, which is ridiculous to me. Why would we actively want to? They have Dune. They have Dune 2000? You can get that for free now? Oh my god, I spent so many hours playing Dune 2000 as a kid. Holy crap. But yeah, I think preserving these things are, I think it's very important. Because the problem is, even if you have the physical copy of a game, cartridges don't last forever. They do degrade over time. If things don't get preserved, they will disappear, no matter how much we try to look after their physical counterparts. Finally came at the beginning of yeah, Para, I'm not sure you're quite right there. I'm not sure. Dune 2000. Oh my god. It's literally just there. Oh, the screenshots. Oh, it's just as I remember. Oh, I loved Dune so much. I always played as the yellow guys. Not yellow, green guys, the snake people. Because I thought Atreides were too pompous and annoying, and I didn't like the Harkonnen. I thought the Harkonnen were gross. So I played as the merchants, I guess. Ordos, that's it, House Ordos. Yeah. That's why this game is the reason why I wanted Dune Spice Wars. And like, Spice Wars is fun, but it doesn't give me that same I mean, it's not the same genre. It's not the same genre as Dune 2000 was. It's not the same. It's not meant to be the same. But okay, no, I'm fine. I'm not. Save. Every game that is saved is good. I do hope. I will. I just have strong feelings, and sometimes they come out in random sounds. Sequel Emperor Battle for Dune is quite meh though. Were you a woo now? I mean, I'm a cat, so I'm not really meant to a woo. I heard you can get a $200 fine if you a woo. It's also 4 in the morning, so I shouldn't woo. It is. I hear the birds singing. It is not time for a woo. It is 4 a.m. Which probably means that I should probably end stream and sleep, even if I am enjoying just talking. Why does time pass? Don't answer that. I don't want to think about time passing. Purity. England has birds. Yes. Real. Well, I don't know. Maybe they're government drones. I mean, the conspiracies say, right? These birds are they are! They're so loud. Like, I can't sleep with my window open or else the birds will wake me up. They're that loud. Like, alright, I get it. Chub, chub, motherfucker. Shh, 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 shh. Be quiet. There is no need. Don't go off this early in the morning. At least, like, wait until 7 AM to start, like, throwing a fit. Alright. So, I'm gonna leave it there. I will try to stream again next week on YouTube, but I can't promise anything because next week is a week. Why are they up trying to catcall a lady? I know, it's so impolite. So rude. Unbelievable behaviour. Thank you for stream. Thank you for coming. Thank you to everyone who was here earlier. Thank you for everyone that came during Numbers Raid. Thank you for sticking around. Next stream is on Sunday. I'm streaming on Twitch. So if you don't follow me on Twitch, and you wanna see more of this cat, then please do feel free to pop by there. I'm playing Binding of Isaac next on Sunday. So, but yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad we finished Alice in Wonderland. Thank you for coming. Thank you. I do appreciate it very much. Let me pause the music now. Thanks to Numbers, I discovered you already. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. I know I'm not the most like on YouTube, but I do appreciate it. And Numbers is very good. So I try to share my viewers with Numbers when I get a chance on Twitch. So even if our time zones are very, very different. Don't forget us YouTube. Yeah, I won't forget you guys. Hopefully at some point I can start playing Okami back on YouTube again like I started. Well, we will see though. We will see. But yeah, until I see you next time, whether that is on Sunday or next Thursday or just sometime in the future, take care, get something to eat, get something to drink, take your meds, pay your bills if you got bills to pay. I know it's final season, so if you have to study, I'm sorry, but please do your best. And yeah, take care. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Have a very good night. Onyasumi. Good night.